Hello and welcome to the big picture. Investment summits have become the buzzword for many of the states in the country. Every year, some of these summits have grown larger and larger. The recent Gujarat summit is touted as the biggest ever, with the Chief Minister claiming that 21,000 MOUs have been signed worth rupees 25 lakh crores, along with 1,225 strategic partnerships also being signed. In the past, also several lakhs of crores of MOUs have been signed in Gujarat. Other states including Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Rajasthan have held or planning to hold similar summits this year. One common criticism about these summits is that it promises more, in fact much more than it actually delivers. While its supporters feel that such summits help the states to showcase their strengths and attract investors and also allay some of their concerns and fears. What are the benefits of such summits? And with more and more states resorting to it, does it lead to healthy rivalry among them and in the bargain help the country to emerge as a preferred investment destination? What have been the outcomes of these summits as against the promises made? We will discuss all this today with Ajay Dua, former Secretary, Industry and Commerce in the Government of India, Mohan Guruswamy, Economist and Chairman, Center for Policy Alternatives, Vivian Fernades, Senior Journalist. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Dua, I would like to come to you first. Mr. Dua, do you think that these summits are actually not a very old idea? It just started about 8-10 years back, first in Gujarat and then in other parts of the country. You think that they serve the purpose for which these summits are held?
First, Girish, let me tell you, we might be calling these summits now. Earlier, these were road shows.
Okay.
The states would go to different investment destinations, go and hold meetings there, and appeal to the investors or sell themselves to the investors on what's good or bad in their state, that they should come and invest there. It is in the last decade, you are right, that instead of road shows being held elsewhere, now potential investors are being invited to that particular state or that particular country. I think the idea is not too bad, because here we are saying, please visit us, see for yourself whether we make tall claims. If we come to you, you may or may not believe us, but here we have the state to show you. You want to see our roads, you want to see our power situation, you want to see how well the productivity is, etc., you can visit, or we'll arrange for you to go and see these things. I think the rationale for holding these so-called investment summits, industrial summits, call it what may, is not entirely a bad one.
Okay. Having started with that, Mohan, would you agree with him? It's not a bad idea, because there are a lot of criticism about it. Politics comes into play. Parties in power will hype it. The parties in opposition will start rubbishing it.
No, Ajay Dua is right. All the states have been doing this for a long time. Road shows have been going on from the 70s, when industrialization, it was realized, was the key to economic growth. And states have not slouched in efforts for this. Gujarat took it to new heights from 2003, when Modi was Chief Minister, and this is the 7th event. They've turned it into a massive
mega event,
a real fest. But I don't agree with Mr. Dua on this thing that you can showcase a state in a festival, because it's like calling a guest to your house for Diwali. Your house is all lit up, you've got good food there, everybody is wearing new clothes. But that is not this thing, because surely there won't be a power cut while the festival is on. Surely you don't know the condition of the roads by being there and staying in a 5-star hotel. But that hardly showcases. But this is to focus attention, to get media eyeballs, and so I think it does the job quite effectively. But I'm more concerned about the hype, this tendency to lie and exaggerate. Now, I've got data for the 2009 and 2011 summits. In 2009,
of which state?
Of Gujarat.
Okay.
Vibrant Gujarat. Vibrant Gujarat 2009 generated 24 lakh crores worth of proposals. MOUs. Out of which CMI, which has been tracking this, has said that there's no sign of the majority of them on the website. There are no details, no addresses, no locations, no details of the project, just MOUs assigned. What you have actually is, out of that 4,000 and odd projects claimed, 66 are on track.
Out of?
Out of the 4,000 and odd MOUs signed, 66 are on track, out of which 33 have completed, and the rest are underway. So the total conversion of these MOUs, of 2009 MOUs, into fruition in 2015 is only 9%. Now, you see, when you get into this competitive make-believe,
Right.
now, you saw this make-believe in Uttar Pradesh. It's a wonderful state. If you look at, they show a picture of the Delhi-Agra highway and say new roads. And, but Uttar Pradesh is a different story. Bengal today, Mamata Banerjee had full-page ads with her smiling saying, yes, Bengal can, like, Obama said, yes, we can. So, yes, Bengal can. And claimed 2 lakh crores in her little meeting 2 days ago. And let's not forget that she is the one who drove Tatas out of West Bengal. So, so this competitive hyping is taking place. This distortion of and getting away from reality. That MOUs mean nothing. Now, it's like Swachh Bharat thing, Everybody is now throwing garbage on the road and cleaning it up and getting photo ops. Now, there are industrialists who keep going there year after year, sign the same MOU year after year. One particular industrialist has promised 85,000 crore investment in 2009, 2011, and yesterday he's selling away assets because he can't meet his debt obligations. He was there also in the MOU, MOU racket 3 days ago. Now you see, so what is reality and what is the truth?
That has become a casualty, actually.
It is, so this idea of having a fest around industrialization has turned us into a kind of a laughable tamasha now. Every state is going to do it. And now, again, I have a problem. Chief Minister Modi doing it is fine. But Prime Minister Modi doing it for Gujarat is wrong.
That several people seems to have a problem with that. We are now joined in by S.K. Jindal, Chairman, Investment and Investors Protection Committee in the ASSOCHAM. Welcome, Mr. Jindal. Mr. Jindal, you think, we have been, before you came in, I've been asking the same question to my other 2 panelists also. Do you think these investment summits serves its purpose?
My sense is it is a very welcome step, very positive step. It gives lot of awareness to the whole nation and people overseas who come to attend these things. And all over the world, people have a buzz that this thing is happening here. They come to know, they want to be part of it. And it's a very positive and welcome step to my mind. There may be some aberrations, some exceptions, but that doesn't mean that we should stop it. It's a very positive thing.
So
it brings a lot of positive competition into the whole arena.
Brings a lot of competition. Vivian, competitive federalism,
positive competition, awareness.
Okay, Mr. Jindal, I'll come back.
Yes, and motivation also.
Girish, there has certainly been rivalry, but I do not know how healthy it is, because a lot depends on the intention of the chief ministers and administrations, as well as the follow-up action and the kind of infrastructure you provide on the ground. Because this is a one-time event, but later on the process of industrial development or promotion is a continuous process.
It's a continuous process.
Like, for example, you have a progressive Punjab event. Now, in Punjab is one of the most heavily indebted states in the country.
Right.
And electricity rates are very high over there because they provide free electricity or electricity at a very cheap rate to the farmers. The state is indebted, is not able to pay its salaries. Now, and the land prices are very high because of, it's an agricultural state. Now, in such a state, if you have an event like Progressive Punjab, it's more like an image-building exercise for the chief minister rather than, something that will help the state attract investments. At the same time, I will not be dismissive. You require an industrial escort service. Even in Gujarat itself, in 1997, it was the first state to set up something called the Industrial Extension Bureau. This was an escort service for investors where, the officials would monitor the letters of intent. And if someone wanted to set up an industry in Gujarat, they would themselves proactively chase those persons, take them to the various industrial estates, show them, what was available, and do the follow-up. even in the case of MOUs, a lot depends on the follow-ups you do. Of course, they are hyped. Mohan mentioned a figure, 9% or 10%. It could be because of the general, industrial climate in the country as well. And I don't think Gujarat can escape that. But a previous study done by ASSOCHAM, I think of the 2003 Vibrant Gujarat, mentioned about 20% of the MOUs getting fructified into investments. I don't think it's a bad hit rate. But it all, again, I mentioned, depends on the chief ministers. For example, Chandrababu Naidu was a great salesman for the state. Okay? Like Modi, who also had another issue because he wanted to have an image makeover after the 2002 riots and portray himself as a development man. So there were two things. One is, of course, attracting investments to the state as well as giving himself an image change, building his own brand image. But in the case of Mamata Banerjee or in the case of Uttar Pradesh...
For all of them, it's a brand image.
Yeah, they do it. But nothing happens because the situation on the ground is so bad. You take the case of Tamil Nadu. It does not require to do an investment summit. It is going to have one in May this year, a global investor summit. But in Tamil Nadu, which is such a progressive state, you find that, power shortages are there.
Right.
So such a state doesn't require a global investor summit.
They already are... Tamil Nadu is one of the major investment destinations in India.
But because you have not invested in power, investment from the state are going somewhere else. So there you need to fix the infrastructure first.
So the reality check, Mohan?
The reality check is that in this period from 2003 to 2015, the reality check is the number one FDI destinations are Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, National Capital Region.
No, I think it would be the National Capital Region.
Capital Region.
But Mohan, that is
and
also...
Karnataka. You see,
yes.
Gujarat only comes number 5. But I think industrial promotion is good. Advertising, you're the same. But we shouldn't get into competitive populism. Giving away land free, giving away sales tax concession. Like, for instance, Tata's got that nano plant land free, taken away from farmers at acquisition rates and given. So
at a pittance, virtually.
At a pittance, So this is competitive populism, and this is something we should be very concerned about, because this is not free market. This is crony capitalism of its worst kind.
No, that's interesting, Mr. Jindal. This is a criticism which often we hear, that this is not actually competitive federalism but crony capitalism.
This can be explained by this example. When we see a half glass full, somebody says it is half glass full, somebody says it is half
empty.
There is two ways of looking at the glass, which is half filled with water.
Right.
I see no negativity in this kind of promotion of the industry by the states. Everything is positive. There may be few instances which may not be very good, but we don't need to look at the negative aspect of it. We need to look at the positive aspect.
Mr. Jindal,
the sentiments,
Sorry, Mr. Jindal.
positivity which it brings, atmosphere.
Sorry, Mr. Jindal, my question is, I have a question. No, the question is about, we have had this summit for several years in this country. Now different states have held this summit. The question is, what have been the outcome? Because as Mohan Guruswamy was earlier pointing out, the 2003 summit, the outcome is just 9% of the MOU signed. How do you explain this? Why do you think the investors, after having,
I tell you,
after having given some intention of investing, why don't they go back in? What are the problems there?
They need a fest to make these announcements.
Why do you need a fest to make these announcements?
From 2008 to 2013, there was a total
Mr. Jindal
negativity in the whole world.
Sorry?
And if we look at that from that point of view, there is a time for everything. The time has come now. You will see the results now. This is my gut feel, this is my sense of this whole thing.
So you think that the MOU signed, they are genuine MOUs signed with the intent of actually investing and not just, taking some credit or getting some publicity during these festivals?
No. What credit they can get out of it? It is only a mix. If somebody is deceiving somebody, he is deceiving himself. He cannot take anybody else's money for that. Suppose somebody is unable to do it, honor it, that is up to him. He will not take the benefit of it. But those who are able to fructify it, they are able to do it.
Okay.
And this kind of deliberation, this kind of showcasing, this kind of marketing is all positive about the industry. People should know when they get together, something positive definitely comes out.
Okay, Mr. Dua? Mr. Dua, how do you react to this, what Mohan said also and what Vivian was talking about, that the outcomes doesn't really match the kind of promises made? Mr. Dua, can you hear me? I think there's a problem with the audio. Mohan, the same question, outcomes versus... Has there been a honest study about all these MOUs being signed across the country?
Yes, CMI, Center for Monitoring the Indian Economy, has done good studies on this. But you will not get 100% strike rate. You will get 30, 40, 20, 10. Even that is good. Even 10 is good. But this whole competitive advertising that I've got 20 lakhs, he's got 20 lakhs. If Gujarat alone in that period was claiming 24 lakh crores, when the whole of India in the previous 10 years had only 20 lakh crores as FDI.
There is a figure here which says that between 2003 and 2013, the Vibrant Gujarat Summits are supposed to have commitments of 51 lakh crores.
51 lakh crores.
And plus this 25 lakhs this time.
But this hype, this festive atmosphere, this today's newspaper carried us on page 1, some small bit on the special kind of jalebis being served. You turn this whole thing into a tamasha. This is serious business. If you had some called people to analyze case histories, present some new thoughts, on energy savings or energy generation, this would have been interesting. But this whole thing into a fest, it's like a college festival. Everybody's coming, there's the rock show going on one side. That is what making a mockery of this whole thing. Vivian, I think the seriousness has gone out.
Vivian, I'm looking at some of the figures of Karnataka. Actually, Karnataka has also been, in this competition for quite some time now. Like 2010, they had held a global investors meet. MOUs entered with 389 companies, an investment of rupees 3.92 lakh crores. 3.92 lakh crores. And job opportunities of 7 lakhs to be created with this kind of thing.
I think in the case of Karnataka, I would imagine that it had actually slid down the industrial scale because of chief ministers who have not been very particularly concerned about attracting investment into the state, including the present one, who has not been that forthcoming. In the case of Gujarat, I would imagine that the infrastructure has been created. For example, even before Modi came, under Keshubhai Mahendra or even before, they had this whole thing about port-led development, which is how China developed. As Chief Minister, Narendra Modi set up a gas grid over there. There was, of course, roads were very good in Gujarat, but under Modi, again, those got a fillip. So I would imagine that, I would not pay much attention to those MOUs. They are, of course, meant for hype, so we can discount them. But still, I would not say that Gujarat, Gujarat actually has been encouraging of investment, and through these investment summits, they're actually beauty pageants where you call all the investors together, and one should not look only at the government to business, G2B, government to business that happens, but one should also look at the industry to industry interaction that happens, and the deals that get struck over there. It's also a networking opportunity.
Yes, Mohan, quickly before I go
how much is all getting hyped. In 2007, there were 363 MOUs. 300 in Gujarat.
Okay.
In 2009, it goes to 8,660. This absurd kind of... That's where the real serious thing has been turned into a tamasha. Now, this particular summit which took place, what is Ban Ki-moon doing there? Is the United Nations coming to invest in Gujarat? What is the World Bank chiefs coming to do? And this is all padding up, image building. And you're doing image building at the cost of the state's exchequer. This is something, again, which has to be seriously
Mohan,
considered.
don't you think that ever since the industrial liberalization happened, economic liberalization happened in the 1990s, much of the locals has also shifted to the states, and they also need to promote themselves.
Yeah, but
and in the process, I would imagine there's also some amount of pressure generated. Media scrutiny is there. So I would imagine that.
So, let's do media scrutiny instead of all of us sitting and lauding them. Let's do media scrutiny.
Well, Mr.
So
Dua,
where do you stand on scrutiny?
Mr. Dua, my question is this: that
Girish,
why is
if I
there?
could just come in.
I'm coming to you, Mr. Dua.
Yes.
My question is, outcome, the difference between outcomes, the promises and outcomes. Why is it so huge? What are the problems which the investors, when they go and sign their MOUs, why is it that many of them don't, follow it up or don't want to follow it up? What are the problems there?
Right. I'd like to distinguish between foreign investors and Indian investors.
Okay.
Earlier, the point was raised about crony capitalism, saying a lot of potential investors or industrialists want to get themselves into the good books of the chief minister or the government,
right,
or vice versa. I think that happens more with the Indian investors. Somebody might say, I'd like to invest 100,000 crores in the next 18 to 24 months, which is almost impossible for the society, for the economy to absorb that kind of money in one particular state.
Right.
So there could be a reason that you want to keep the powers that be happy by bloating up their figures and making promises which are not going to materialize. On the other hand, there is no reason for foreign investors to play the same game. Here we saw yesterday Mr. Suzuki saying, I'll invest 4,000 crores in the next 3.5 or 4 years till 2019. Now, Mr. Suzuki, when he made that announcement about 4,000 crores, which is less than $1 billion,
right,
or $600-700 million, he's been visiting that state himself for last 2 years before he made this kind of an announcement.
Okay.
He has gone and seen the state. He has gone and seen what is the position on availability of land, what is the position on power, what is the position on labor, etc. Similarly, Sun Edison, when it made the Edison, which it made the announcement yesterday about setting up a huge solar park in Kutch area, Mundra.
Right.
It is not out of the thin air. They have gone and seen that that's a good place. You get solar insulation is very good there. Insulation is less, so the output is high. There is land available. It's possible to even start right from manufacturing of solar cells, go on into panels, and then convert it into electricity.
So, Mr. Dua, the point...
I think we need to distinguish between serious investors and the ones who are just hyping up the figure.
Okay.
Now, I'd like to say that even if we have a
I think you have made a very interesting point, Mr. Dua. I want to go to...
Even if we have a...
Let me...
Yeah.
Oh, I think you have made an interesting point. I would like to go to Jindal. I would like to go to Mr. Jindal on this. Before that, Mohan, very quickly.
Mr. Dua made this point about Suzuki. What Suzuki is doing is patently wrong.
I'll come to you, Mr. Jindal.
What Suzuki is doing patently wrong. There is a Maruti plant which was sanctioned there. The Maruti plant was coming up. What Suzuki is now going to do is, Suzuki Japan is going to take over that plant, and all the products are going to be sold through the Maruti Suzuki network. The profits will be taken away at Suzuki, so that Maruti will only be a super distributor.
See, that's the structure of the investment. We are not talking about that.
No, this is totally. You use Suzuki as an example. But Suzuki is going to cement it.
No, it's not
intergovernment. It's bad government.
I think
it's a 4,000 crores investment.
That is done by Maruti, not by Suzuki.
Mr. Dua, I think that's a separate debate. Actually, what you're talking about.
I think we're going into hair splitting.
No, it's not hair splitting.
No, it's not hair splitting. But I'm sure
it's a major.
Not hair splitting. It's certainly a very important issue.
It's a separate issue altogether.
No, it is not.
It's a different issue altogether.
Will investment take place?
You are citing him, so you have to face the burden for it.
Mr. Jindal, the question, the point made by Mr. Dua about serious investors and non-serious investors, do you agree with that? Because his point that Indian investors tend to hype.
I totally agree. You see, whenever
tend to hype and tend to say things which will appeal to the powers that be.
You see, I totally agree with what Mr. Dua says. This is market. This is a ground reality. 100% are never serious. 100% strike rate nobody can achieve. Even if we make 10 efforts, one
No,
or
we are
two
not talking of the
fructify,
strike rate here.
another 80, we just try, we experiment, they
Will
don't
this
fructify.
investment not take place but for this
Mr.
Larger
Jindal,
question is, larger question is to see,
Yeah.
larger question is, should states make such an effort or should they not?
No,
There is no reason to believe
nobody.
that we should not have that kind of efforts made by states.
I think all panelists here agree that these kind of efforts are good. You know,
They should be- they are laudable- they are laudable
What
efforts.
we are discussing is that how successful are they? Nobody is saying that this kind of meets should not be held, but how
This is
successful are they?
the false optimism is what
ground
we're concerned
the
about.
creation-
And for
No,
such successes also there is a timing.
No,
Last
Mr.
5 years were not good. But
Huh.
next 5 years cannot be the same as last
No,
5
Mr.
years.
Jindal, I am looking for an answer from you. What are the problems? Why do investors who promise don't go back and invest? That is the question. Is there legal problems
The
there,
environment
legislative
in
problems
the last
there? What are
5
the
years
hurdles?
was not good.
No, you will say
No,
this
I
about
tell you
when the
that
next government
environment
comes.
for investment was not good in the last 5 years. But in the next 5 years, I believe and I have reasonable belief that it will be very good for investments.
Okay, Vivian?
See, the past few years, the investment cycle, had
I'd just like
reversed.
to add one other thing.
Yes, Mr. Dua, quickly. Yes, quickly, Mr. Dua.
Can I just add one thing?
Yes.
Girish?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
I'm saying that the amount of investment, foreign investment which has come into the country is paltry $30 billion a year. So there is bound to be competition, particularly from states which do not have entrepreneurship amongst themselves or within the state or investment coming from there. So that is how you see Madhya Pradesh also getting into the fray, saying we are good. Chhattisgarh is planning to do these things. There is Bengal, West Bengal, Bihar, etc. So as long as if these things spur them to improve their performance,
Absolutely.
make them deliver better than they would have done without the MOUs, I don't think we should be grudging these at all.
Okay.
In a competitive
Vivian.
environment, I come back to it.
Right,
there
sir.
is a degree of cooperativism, but there will also be cooperativism. Yes.
Competition. So this competition, this is spurring competition. Would you agree with that?
Yes, it is spurring
competition,
competition, but I do not know whether it's healthy in all cases.
Yes.
It all depends on the intention of the chief ministers and the administrations, and also the kind of how sincere they are. For some, it's a mere brand building exercise, an image building exercise, in which case it's a waste of money. But in the case of Gujarat, let's suppose this vibrant Gujarat events were not there. It's not as if investors would have shied away from Gujarat. It's just that, because you have this event, you can meet the investors in one place, you can get some marquee investments over there, like the Tatas themselves. Maybe you lose something in sales taxes, but then a whole lot of ancillaries also come up over there.
Yes, Mr. Jindal. Mr. Jindal, very quickly.
What I want to say is that you see a strike rate in such kind of projects and investments, 10 to 20% is already a good rate.
Okay.
Second thing, if somebody is befooling, he is befooling at his own cost and not the cost at the cost of others.
Are they just befooling at the cost of others?
That is a little bit of crony capitalism which goes on. And our cronies will be cronies. Now, that's not the point. The point is that if this spurs some real competitiveness between the states in reforming, making their conditions better. Now, Rajasthan, for instance, Rajasthan has brought labour reforms in.
Ground
Has brought
reality is very important
24
and we
into
should not
7
be
power.
bookish on the thing.
Let the others also promise that.
Absolutely.
But you're competing in the wrong way, with false optimism.
Girish, let's look at the example of Hyderabad. Now, you had Bangalore and Chennai that were competing for IT investments.
Right.
Now, Chandrababu Naidu came over there and he was able to get Microsoft to high-tech city.
Right.
Now, isn't that a good thing that he did?
Absolutely. So this kind of competition which comes across, which between states is a good thing, but how this competition, what kind of competition it is, if it's healthy competition, nobody should have a problem. This has been a very interesting discussion. These kind of summits, we'll wait and watch and see how it will all pan out in the coming months and years also. Thanks to all my guests, Mr. Ajay Dua, Mr. S.K. Jindal, Mohan, Guruswamy and Vivian Fernades. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue, Big Picture, same time tomorrow.